What's up, guys? So today I kind of wanted to talk about the main problems that are currently facing Deepwoken. And you might be wondering, well, what are these problems? I feel like the biggest problem right now is just the weapons, to be honest. Like, they keep adding new weapons every once in a while, and they don't nerf some of the more egregious ones. They also don't nerf mantras. Like, they nerf like specific mantras, like blood mantras. They nerf those into the ground. Scarlet Cyclone, although the Scarlet Cyclone nerf, it still doesn't cancel after one parry. I don't know. They were lying. They were not telling the truth when they said that it now cancels after one parry. It does not. It does not. That's just a lie. That's just something that isn't true. But to be honest, they just keep adding overpowered stuff. Take the Course of Agonies. The weapon does more damage than a Hive Lord. It swings, well, actually I don't know if I think they nerfed the damage a bit, so it does a little bit less. But they made it so the crit just basically guarantees you a bar on your opponent. I don't know what they were thinking. It's still like that, even after several updates, several nerfs. The Course of Agonies is still ridiculously unfair and broken. It's just poorly done. The critical knocks down and guarantees the next part. You should be able to parry out. There's no criticals in this game where you shouldn't be able to like parry out after you land the first part. Right? Think about like Kyrswinter, right? This first part, you can roll out of the second part. If you have Ghost, it's pretty easy to roll out of the second part. Block part of it, but follow up from like the underground. Yeah, it's not that broken. The Course of Agonies, you just take a bar if you get hit with the critical. Oh yeah, and then currently Run It Back Berserk, still in the game. Corrupted Run It Back is probably the best spell in the entire game. Just on a pure stat basis, it's just so broken, bro. Run It Back in general, it's just like really strong. I feel like it might need some adjustments. Just coming from a PvP standpoint, that's what I felt. But the only things people run is 1, Reaper, 2, Run It Back. And then of course you see the occasional Corrupted Smite. I don't really know. The build diversity in this game is kind of trash. There's some niche cool text that I would love to have used more, like for example, Skeleton Key with Soulbreaker is really cool because you confirm grips. But why do that when you could instead just Reaper them, and you don't have to bother with carrying them around? You can just Reaper them on the floor. Like, I'm not saying to necessarily nerf Reaper or anything. I do think that Run It Back needs to be toned down a bit. Just maybe make it so you can't use Berserk in Run It Back, because I feel like that's the main problem with Run It Back. It's the fact that you can just have punishment-free Berserk. Like, you can't be punished for using one of the best damage buffing moves in the entire game. It just removes your opponent's armor. Not exactly super great, but currently Updraft, right? We all know Updraft. You see my past videos. If you haven't seen them, I'll put up the small amount of damage that Updraft does on the screen right now. It's kind of dumb. It's kind of dumb. I don't necessarily think that is a fair amount of damage. Oh yeah, and then Ice. There is no reason why Ice Lance with Insignia Gem into Ice Eruption is a true combo. Like, why? Why did they do that? Nobody asked for that. Nobody likes it. Just nerf it. Make it so Insignia Gem doesn't work on Ice Eruption. Make it so Ice Eruption will just wind up is slower. So you can't just have these weird true combos. Like Fireblade into Ice Eruption also. They just lose 2 bars because they're trapped in an eruption path lava pool. I'm sure you've seen my cheese build on that. And the reason why I'm trying to get my own builds nerfed, right, is because I'm not biased. Yeah, strange. I personally make a new build like literally every other day or so. So for me, getting one of my builds nerfed does not really matter. Like, a lot of my builds right now are using Updraft because it's this week's broken cheese mantra. Next week, there might be another broken cheese mantra that they add. and then I'll just use that. So I don't really care whether or not my builds get nerfed. I hate Gale. I really don't like Gale. I feel like it's does way too much damage in comparison to every other attunement. Especially Updraft right now is just base, right? Even if you don't do some crazy damage modification stuff, it still does like way too much. Whoops. It still does way too much damage, and I don't know. There's just no real reason for it to do the amount of damage it does as quickly as it does. But I feel like the main problem, though, is still like Chorus of Agonies. I just want that weapon gutted. I don't know. I personally hate it. It's so badly designed. It's so badly designed. They don't. Like the devs, whichever dev made it, just turned their brain off. It was like, let us give every good stat to this weapon. They gave it more damage, more swing speed, and it's critical, right? Is a guaranteed bar if you land it. It's not, you don't even need to have a brain to use that weapon. And I'm not saying it just because I don't have it. Yes, I don't have it. I could go get it. I don't really want to get it because I don't like being weapon carried. I don't know. My philosophy is that build carried is fine, weapon carried is not. If you're build carried, right, that means you went into the effort to make the build and actually like create it in the stat creator. Of course, if you copy the YouTuber build, it kind of doesn't apply, but you know, it's still like whoever made the build actually knew what they were doing. You don't really have to know what you're doing to play Chorus of Agonies. You can just slap that weapon on any sort of build with 100 weapon heavy, because every 100 heavy weapon build will always have 20 strength. It's so cheap. Why? Either raise the stat requirement to 80 strength, right? Make it 180 points to equip the weapons. You have to majorly spec into it. And, you know, be intentional with your things. Hive Lord is 60. Konobo is 40. Sovereign's Punishment is 20. Chorus of Agonies should be 80 or 100. I know that's high. But it's still a ridiculously strong weapon, and it's ridiculously annoying. I'm sure you've seen those ganks where it's just like 5 Chorus of Agonies users, and they're just spamming their stupid knockdown critical that guarantees a bar. Like, especially with Corrupt Run It Back, because you can just go high strength, but you don't have to go at post shrine. Like, you don't have to make any sacrifices on your build. You can just equip that stupid weapon at 20 strength. Do you have any idea how that's 120 points? And most heavy builds, that's just 100 points, because you go 40 strength pre-shrine, you get Unwavering Resolve, you get Showstopper, and then you shrine down to 20. That's just how it works. It's really not good game design, because you shouldn't have such a powerful weapon with such a low stat requirement. Think of the Imperator's Edge. It's not even that good. The Imperator's Edge is a good weapon, mind you, but it's not even close to Chorus of Agonies, and it has like, what, nearly 2 times the cost? Literally. No, I think it is 2 times the cost. It's 240 points, and Chorus of Agonies is 120. So it's literally 2 times the cost. So, and the Imperator's Edge is comparatively a much worse weapon. I know this has kind of been a long rant about the Chorus of Agonies, but I really do not like that weapon. I think that it's horrible game design, and that they should really either up the stat requirement or heavily nerf the weapon. Because keeping the weapon as is would allow for kind of more build diversity, because that would mean that you can't just go like, what, 40 strength pre-shrine and then have the most broken weapon in the game. It X off a lot of dual attunements without sacrificing. If you wanted to make it dual attunement, right, you would have to sacrifice. Wow, this Wraith Claw again just spawned on me. If you wanted to make it dual attunement, right, make a dual attunement build with Chorus of Agonies, or like a attunement build with it, you'd have to sacrifice something if the requirement was that high, right? You wouldn't be able to get everything and still, you know, because 100 heavy isn't that hard of a requirement to hit. That's only 100 points, and that's 180, right? Whereas it would be 260 if you wanted 80-80 attunement, right? Yeah, whatever. Rather than talking boring you guys with niche build things, you get what I'm talking about. I don't think that that is good game design, personally. I really do not like Chorus of Agonies just being the best heavy weapon in the game. It outstripped Hive Lord. It's power crept Hive Lord. It costs less points to equip. They basically just kind of gutted Hive Lord. Although Hive Lord is kind of back with the Kanabo motif, I must say. The Kanabo motif is like absolutely great. Good. Okay, I got the raid spot probably. I don't really know. But the Kanabo motif is like great. I feel like it's kind of dumb though that you can just put a Kanabo motif on a Sovereign's Punishment and then just have a better Kanabo. Because if you look at stat wise, right, the Sovereign's Punishment is better in every single stat except swing speed, where it like is slightly outshined by the Kanabo by like I think 0.2. This does not make up for the egregious amount of damage and like pen that you get by just, you know, not using the weapon that you're supposed to be using and instead just using a Sovereign's Punishment. That's what I did on all my Kanabo builds. You just use a Sovereign's Punishment with the Kanabo motif. It is just better in every single way. I don't know, kind of bad game design, but I find motifs pretty cool. I do wish there were more. Like, I wish I could get the Night Axe critical off of the Night Axe, because the Night Axe is, you know, the terrible. Like, that weapon needs some serious rework. I'd love to use it, right? I'd love to use the Night Axe, but then you look at its base stats, and it's like, it's abysmal. It is just abysmal. Like, it's like really bad. It's really bad. There's no other way to put it. It's just terrible. Yeah, so I would not personally ever use the Night Axe. The critical is cool and all, but it's just not a viable weapon because its stats are so bad. And I feel like that's a lot of the problem with the game, right? The stats on the weapons that you want to use are just so terrible. It doesn't matter if they have a unique critical. The weapon stats are genuinely horrific. Same with the Canor Fang. Who's going to use the Canor Fang? Sure has a cool new critical. Maybe the whole point, can you motif the Canor Fang? If you can, then it actually might be worth it to have it. But to be honest, that new critical is just kind of dead because you just will not use the weapon because it is just so much worse than any other option. I don't know. Yeah, so just kind of nerf weapons, rework some stuff. I feel like maybe they should add motifs just that can drop from anything. I saw this cool suggestion a while back where motifs can just drop, right? Like unique criticals, so they don't have to model out a weapon or anything. They can just have motifs drop, right? And then that's just a critical that you can have on certain weapon types, you know? And I feel like that's a cool way to introduce new criticals without necessarily needing to model a whole new weapon or model a whole new animations for swing speed or swing whatever. You don't need to add a new weapon, you can just add the new critical and have it like that. I think the backstepping mechanic is good, but there's not really much said. It's just good. Although I don't know, kind of nerfs my playstyle. I like holding S a lot because yeah, but world events, right? Oh boy, world events certainly are events that happen in the world. Are they good? No, not at all. They don't work at all. Like, I think Carnival Hearts is still broken, by the way. So, like, it just straight up does not work. You can't even progress Saint Sworn anymore because Carnival of Hearts just does not work. I don't think they ever fixed it. I checked the patch notes, like, just a couple minutes ago, and I don't think they even fixed it. So, it still just doesn't work. Animations are still terrible. Like, look at this glider animation. Like, what? How did you break this? Like, why do we need to rework the animations? I don't think anybody actually called for a new animation rework. Maybe it was to fix some stuff, but like, come on, this isn't that hard. You really broke the glider animation for literally no reason. I'd say like the dual hand pose still looks worse. I think the running also looks worse. I don't know why they did it. It's just an overall downgrade. And then also, it kind of baffles me why they would remove so many of the old animations and then still leave stuff like Spring Spark flame repulsion versus regular flame repulsion. Like, they look so vastly different, but they didn't need, when they added the Spring Spark, they could have just like added the same model for the whatever. They just didn't even bother remodeling the actual like shot animation. It just has new particle effects for some reason. I don't really know what that's all about. Whatever. It's just kind of my idea on the state of the game. So if you guys have any other ideas that I missed or forgot to go over, or you would like me to cover, I'd love to hear them down in the comments. But that's gonna be it from me. See y'all next time.